Very much. Yes, we have the governor with us right now, so we'll go ahead and start asking some questions about this budget. You said you were going to do this budget. A lot of people didn't think it was going to happen. How happy are you with what turned out from what you originally proposed?
Well, it's a great outcome. It was a very difficult budget, Stephen, because we did have to ask people for sacrifice, but we had a huge deficit to deal with. But we did it in a really financially responsible way. We're starting to address those long-term liabilities. We did it with record speed, so jurisdictions, municipalities, and schools can have better certainty. And it's really hitting the reset button about the reinvention of Michigan. It's about jobs and our kids. It's what this budget is all about.
Now, one of the criticisms all along of this is that you've been giving businesses a tax break on the backs of the middle class.
Not really at all. That's not the way I look at it, because it comes down to jobs. The real solution in Michigan is to stop talking about Michigan shrinking, but to grow Michigan. And the key to do that is more and better jobs. And how do you create that? You create a great environment for free enterprise to work, for businesses to flourish. And it's our small businesses. It's our friends and neighbors are the ones that we're benefiting from the tax reforms. So we're really creating an environment for future job growth so we can all win together.
Some of the original criticism of this when it first came out were the seniors and the pensions. Let's address that issue first of all.
Well, yeah, if you look at it in many respects, that's about our kids. If seniors that have the ability to pay, or people with retirement income, I should say, if they have the ability to pay, they weren't contributing to the system. And so what was going to happen over time, it had already started, is we were shifting our tax burden to our young people. And when I went on the campaign trail, I heard it from everyone across Michigan. We want our kids to stay here. So why would we have a tax system that was pushing the tax burden to them? Now we've got a system that over time, we've got transitional provisions. Over time, though, people with retirement income, when they can afford it, will contribute to the system, and we can reduce that burden off our young people so they'll want to stay in Michigan.
So you're, on one hand, taking the burden from the future off of these kids, but what the critics will say is that you have now put a burden on their educations, that you're not educating our kids properly because you're taking money away from them.
Well, the education one, we ended up with a cut of under 2%. And if you go to most households and stuff, in this environment to say, did you have to make a bigger cut than 2%? Most people would say they did. But as a practical matter, too much of our educational system has been about spending money, not educating the kids. We've got great teachers, great people in the system, but we have a broken system. So that's why we did the special message on education, to say it's all about the kids, not about the money. And let's figure out how to get more resources in the classroom and deliver real student growth.
For this really all to work, it really comes down to is businesses in Michigan are going to have to flourish. They're going to have to create jobs. You, as a former CEO and business guy yourself, are you going to go like twist some arms of these businesses, say, okay, I've given you the breaks, now start hiring people?
No, it's already started, that process. And if you go back the history of Michigan, that's how we became a great state. If you go back to the last century, it was that growth, jobs being created, that made us such a wonderful state. It's when we went in the downhill mode that we were fighting over the shrinking pie that we got in trouble and people worried about entitlements. Now it's time for us to win together again. It is about the reinvention of Michigan, and we've started that process. That's exciting.
Two things I didn't see here today, Democrats and protesters.
Well, in terms of looking at, we went through the democratic process. We had a number of Republican legislators here, but we had committee hearings. They took good feedback, input. They listened to things from the Democratic side and put those in the budget. And I think that was quite effective. In terms of protesters, again, hopefully people understand this is our opportunity to win together. It's changing our culture from being backward-looking and negative to being forward-looking and positive.
A relentless positive action, is that what it's called?
Absolutely. It's not about blame. It's not about credit. Here's a structural problem. Let's solve that problem, and when that's done, let's take on the next problem. Let's knock these off, and let's reinvent our state.
All right, what's the next problem then?
Well, we've got government reform going on. We've got education reform, and I still want to build a bridge.
All right, we'll be talking about that at 6 o'clock with you. Governor, thank you so very much.